Welcome in, everyone. It's Overreaction Monday, mixed with SEC Championship, as Georgia will collide with the Tide. I did not just make that up. Actually, I did not make that up previously. I just made that up right now. Collide with the Tide. Greetings, everyone. Welcome in. I hope everyone had an amazing Thanksgiving. I know I did. I ate way too much turkey and all the sides and all the fixings, but man, it has been a turkey kind of weekend, man. All of the coaching changes seem to have just happened, like it just kind of threw up coaches taking jobs this weekend. I think for a lot of people, some people saw it going this way. I think for others, some were shocked. I think for some teams, they created some shock and they're still looking for some things to happen. So that's hot news. Obviously, Georgia, I don't know if you call it backsliding into the SEC championship. I mean, this is a year where you look at four teams, including Ole Miss, as well as Georgia, Texas A&M, and Alabama, and any of them could have been in the SEC championship. Obviously, Georgia and Alabama have ended up in the SEC championship, but man, that came at the helm. I'm sorry, that came at the loss, the first loss of the season of the Texas A&M Aggies to their rival Texas on a night where I don't really know if it was more Texas playing well or maybe Texas A&M not playing up to the standard that they normally would play. I thought Texas's defense played really well, but neither of any of that mattered because Texas pulled off, as Steve Sarkisian would say, the upset of the year. Or maybe it's the win of the year. That's how he called it. It's the best win of the year. I don't know. Maybe you can believe that. Sark is going to pull out a lot of crazy antics in the next few weeks. He's going to be reading some of his best Chat GPT suggestions for how to will a playoff committee into getting a 7-3 Texas team with a ton of money and one of the better teams on paper, recruiting classes, Ferraris, you name it. I mean, you name it, man. I mean, why aren't they in the playoff? I mean, it's Texas, right? They should make it in the playoff. I wish he would just say that. We're Texas, so we should make it into the playoff, and that should be enough, right? Not to mention the fact that you had some really boring losses on your record this year, including close games against Mississippi State, Kentucky. One of those teams don't have a coach right now, and then you lost to a Florida team that doesn't have a coach. So believe me, Texas, by all means, you deserve to be in the playoffs, says your money and your clout, but says no one else. So we end up right back where we have found ourselves a lot of years. And that's with Georgia and Alabama squaring off in Atlanta. And we're going to get to that. Tonight's show is going to be more about just some outliers per se. We're going to enter into a few conversations about the playoffs. We're going to enter into a few just, things based around the SEC championship. Be sure and join us for our weekly show where we're going to pick all the games. Fish will be joining me. This will more than likely be tomorrow night. We will do our normal weekly show. But tonight we're going to maybe overreact and maybe tell the truth a little bit, right? So let's hop right in. Lane Kiffin, right? Lane Kiffin is the talk of the town. Depends on what town you're talking about, because I think in Baton Rouge right now, he's the talk of the town. But in Oxford, he's the ass of the town. Maybe he's the butt end of the conversation, as they would call it, of the town. Obviously, a ton of Ole Miss fans and people around that organization are We won't really know the exact truth of what all went on or what went down or how it all went down, but we do know that in Lane Kiffin's drama, uh, it went down exactly how he wanted it to go down. You know, it's weird, right? So you come to Oxford, you come to Ole Miss, and you work for 6 years to get a team to the playoffs and to vie for a national championship, which is something that Ole Miss has not been able to do at all. And then you get them to the playoffs, and I think you have a pretty solid chance of doing well in the playoffs. And then wouldn't it be so Lane Kiffin-esque to just quit, go take more money, and go get 25 million a year guaranteed for NIL budget and a chance to play, uh, LSU at night. Um, it's just so Lane Kiffin, right? One of the things that he said today in his press conference as he was being introduced that caught me off guard was he said he had just spent the best 6 years of his life. Now, obviously, we know at USC, I mean, that was a foregone conclusion that you have spent the best 6 years of your life. And I would say in some parts that, you know, it probably should have been a place you spent more years. I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but I do know that it doesn't have to have a legacy name behind it to create a legacy. Ole Miss doesn't have to be a team with so many standards and so many great wins. I mean, isn't it just like Lane Kiffin to run from creating stories to run to a team that has stories that he's just trying to pin more onto, right? Um, I don't know, but I mean, I've talked about Lane. He's a character. I mean, he's a guy that I think I've said it before. Well, if Georgia, God forbid, were to lose Kirby Smart, like would Lane Kiffin be and yeah, I mean, of course, but I'll be honest with you, like that's kind of like a sarcastic, a selfish saying. I think he's a great offensive mind, yet he didn't come up with some of this philosophy by himself. He admits that Art Briles, visited him at FAU when he was at Baylor, and that he's basically taken multiple offenses and he's kind of meshed them together to become an offense that, quote unquote, today he said that nobody that it's like no other offense out there. Um, I mean, eh, okay. I mean, I get it, but at the end of the day, like you can talk about talent. You've spent millions and millions of dollars on talent to have an offense that's elite, to have a defense that's been terrible, right? He's never had good defenses. His dad was a defensive coordinator, and no matter how much offense you have, if you can't defend, you're not going to win football games. This year, I think he defended better than he ever has. Yet, you know, it just goes to show that the one loss on your record this year is to a team, Georgia, who just played better defensively than you. They put up as many points, actually more points than you did, but they just played better defensively. They made better adjustments, right? So no matter how much offense you can bring to a team, it doesn't matter if your defense can't be there. And don't get me wrong, they've attained. I think Blake Baker is going to stay. They've retained him is the right word for it. Sorry. And so, I mean, it's just Kiffin-esque, right? Every single thing, you look at. I will say this. Kudos to LSU for allowing something that is going to monopolize college football. It's funny because as Lane was talking about getting, you know, he was getting some good words from Pete Carroll, and from Pete Carroll told him, he said, hey, uh, your dad told me to look after you. I'm looking after you for your dad. And Nick Saban gave him some advice. All of these people seem to give him the advice to just chase after. I don't know, man. Like, how many people would sit there and go, I have a team that's sitting here with really good odds to win a national championship. They're in the college football playoff. There are teams that are trying to, there are teams that are fighting. I mean, if Alabama's job came calling tomorrow, Lane Kiffin would be wanting to be in that one. Yet if Alabama loses the SEC championship to Georgia, I don't know if they have a way in to the college football playoff. Maybe, maybe not. Just depends on how the committee sees it. But it just feels like you're chasing something that's right here. And maybe he's like, look, I'm chasing multiple national championships. Maybe that's it. But history is the only thing that's brought multiple national championships. And I think there's a rich history at LSU, Georgia, Alabama, obviously. There's a lot of schools that have a rich history of winning a lot of national championships. And yes, I understand Georgia's won two, and out of the last 4 or 5 years. But as of late, they are the standard. Yes, they are the standard. But I just don't know. It's the weirdest thing ever. But kudos to LSU for allowing this guy to now monopolize college football. He already was the portal king. And now you give him a 7-year, $100 million contract and then a guaranteed $25 million a year to go out and purchase a roster. Do we understand what that's going to do? That is going to create no loyalty to any school. I repeat, no loyalty. Now, to incoming freshmen and recruits, no loyalty. Everything will be based off money. There will be kids that have grown up as Auburn fans, as Notre Dame fans, as Ohio State fans, as Georgia fans, and that will flip because of money. I.e., this whole conversation about Jerry Curtis, right? I don't say he grew up as a Georgia fan, but for the last 3-4 years, Georgia has been on his mind, right? Georgia's recruited him very early on. And what is persuading Jerry Curtis to go to Vanderbilt? The fact that Clark Lee, bravo to Clark Lee, I think he's done a really great job the past few years. But here Vanderbilt is there. This is the best season that Vanderbilt could put together. And they're still going to be on the outside looking in for a playoff position. I'm going to repeat that. The Diego Pavia noise, the Diego Pavia for Heisman, all his brothers getting arrested, his parents at all the games, all his hype and talk and everything has only got Vanderbilt to a 2-loss outside looking into a playoff. And this is the best year Vanderbilt's ever had. But money will drive him to Vanderbilt over going to Georgia, where he can be developed, where he has a better chance of learning how to practice, learning how to play. And Georgia behind your name anywhere is going to get NFL rosters looking at you first. It's been said, it's been proven. There are some schools who just get that, and lately Georgia behind your name are getting that. So, but now, now you look at LSU and you go, well, what's not a good number? What's not a good number anymore, right? $25 million, you can offer a quarterback. This is going to make Bryce Underwood look like a joke. Is Lane Kiffin going to be the first guy to offer a quarterback $5 million? It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And all the NCAA done is allow this. And then LSU is sitting here going, man, I'm going to take the portal king who can't recruit, who can't develop, and we're just going to let him buy the players already developed, let him get into this little offense he's got, and let him go out here and run the offense. It's a good offense, don't get me wrong, and not play any defense. And maybe LSU will win the national championship once every 10 years. I don't know. Is that worth it? Is it worth ripping college football completely out of the box so that Lane Kiffin can go to Baton Rouge and get 1 out of every 10 with a roster that he says yes to anybody that goes, I want more money. I want more money. Because, by the way, that basically tells you that 25 kids get $1 million. 25 top-level kids get $1 million. That's absolutely crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But we're allowing it. The NCAA is allowing it, and here we are. Lane Kiffin to LSU. Charlie Weiss Jr., his OC. Isn't it funny how Lane Kiffin took months to come up with leading his team on, leading his players on, leading his administration on at Ole Miss? Waited months. I think he honestly, people are like, well, why did this take so long Saturday night? I'll tell you why, because it's all about Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin was waiting to see if Auburn was going to win. If you want my honest truth and you want my hot take, I think it would have been a different story if Lane Kiffin would have played in the SEC championship. That's my hot take. I think the reason this all came out late was because Lane Kiffin goes, hold up. Georgia's in. Texas A&M's has lost. Now Auburn plays Alabama, and if Auburn can by chance beat Alabama, we're in the SEC championship. I personally think that if you are Ole Miss, you're looking back and you're going, if Auburn beats Alabama, Lane Kiffin may have stayed at Ole Miss because he has the chance to do something that is very highly unlikely. And I don't know, I can't go back to history. I don't know. Maybe Ole Miss did win it. I'm not a history buff on the SEC, but I can tell you he has the opportunity to play in the SEC championship and win it and be a top seed. And being a top seed and getting a bye may put him in the opportunity where he feels better about winning the national championship. But as of right now, he's wondering, do I fall to, like an away game, the first round? Like, how does this all work? Who's going to, how's the committee going to screw me over? All these things. I think, I think he's worried about that. I really do. But it didn't happen. And so all of a sudden, all these decisions start coming apart. And then he tells his assistants, it's now or you don't come. It's now or you don't come. And so all these coaches and all this administration, all these players that have been waiting on Lane Kiffin for literally weeks, months, now have minutes to make a decision to leave and come to LSU. It's leave or out, right? And to some people, I think it pissed them off. I mean, I'm hearing, and I've only heard it one place, but I'm hearing that Pete Golding came in and basically said, "Get out of my office now," because this is after Pete Golding's been announced as, I guess he's interim, but he has the opportunity to move forward and be the coach for Ole Miss. I guess that's barring he doesn't blow it. I mean, what do you do? Like, what do you got? What's the deal? To be the coach at Ole Miss, does he got to win one? Does he got to win two? Does he got to win it all? I don't know what the stipulations are, but if he loses, the only game they have is he out? Like, I don't really know about that. Do they have like a vote? Do they do paper, rock, scissors? Like, I don't understand. And then I don't understand how Pete Golding is the idea of now. Do I get that you don't want Lane Kiffin coaching? Yeah, I think part of it for Ole Miss is they're kind of butthurt about it. So they're like, you know what, man, if you choose to leave these kids in the middle of a playoff run, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't go to LSU, take $25 million a year for NIL and $100 million in a paycheck, and then still have the opportunity to coach these kids. Maybe monopolize my program here. Maybe take some coaches, maybe take some players, and then maybe win a national championship. That's screw Ole Miss, screw Ole Miss, screw Ole Miss, and screw you, Ole Miss. They're not going to allow that, man. He said it himself. The AD said, "I got to live here, man." So, I get it. But the fact that even Lane thought he was going to be able to coach is wild. And I don't know if you're the players, like, I don't know, man. Like, did the players want it to happen? I'm curious, like in the meeting, like, do you walk in and do you have the nerve to go, "Hey, do you guys want Lane Kiffin coaching?" Well, no, you don't do that in a non-NIL era. Yeah, you make it do that. Because players have more of a chance of going, well, I'm not gonna go. If I go to LSU, I got to sit out a year. That's a crucial year. If I'm a sophomore, I got to sit out junior, play senior. I could go as a junior. Yeah, it's a lot of different decisions. There's no money involved. There's just scholarship money, and obviously scholarships are just players nowadays. Scholarships are not worth it. Hundreds of thousands of dollars of books and schooling and meal cards and things that other people go into debt for. They're not worth it anymore. As you can hear my voice, I'm a little bit savage when it comes to that, because I think the NCAA has allowed NIL to become this monster. They don't even understand. Like, I repeat, you do not understand what you're going to allow LSU to now do. And I don't want to hear this mess from Saban anymore. I don't want to hear Saban anymore about what he thought NIL was going to be, the reason why he quit, all these other things. He basically told Lane Kiffin to take LSU. So I don't want to hear it anymore. And you knew he was going to have a $25 million budget, and you knew, but yet you said go do it, right? No loyalty, no nothing. And you can tell now the coaches are getting a little bit with that same mindset now, which makes you it makes you happy to be a Georgia Bulldog, right? Because you got a coach now who's the longest tenured coach in the SEC after Mark Stoops, my friend Mark Stoops at Kentucky, who I thought was going to get another year. Because the only reason of his $38 million buyout, I thought he would get another year. But obviously enough people are like, look, we can get the money together if you get him out of here. I don't know if we can sit through another year of this. So it happened, but that was the longest tenured coach in the SEC. Brian Kelly's gone. I mean, it's just been a chopping block, man. I mean, you look at everything. You can go down the line. I think you'd be better off talking about the coaches who've kept their job this year. And maybe some of them probably should have lost their job. But I think the only reason they didn't was because you look at how deep this pool is this year. This was an incredible just chopping block. I mean, you have Florida, you have Auburn, you obviously have now Ole Miss, you have LSU, you have, I mean, you name, and then you can go out to Penn State. You can add Kentucky to that now. This is not just in the SEC. There was talks of if Tennessee would move Heupel to Penn State. These are all methodical things that could happen. DeBoer to Penn State. Is that going to happen? I don't think it is. I think that was just rumor. But man, there's a lot of, I mean, should Beamer at South Carolina should have lost his job this year? Probably. I think the only thing that saved his job this year was the fact that there was 4 or 5 jobs open, including Arkansas, which I would say Arkansas is the most unhappy, group of fans / students / maybe even the administration. They obviously were I don't know. I mean, do you think that Silverstein or whatever his name was, do you think he was their first choice? I don't think so. Now, could it be the right choice? Maybe. Maybe. He beat Arkansas this year at Memphis. But I do think that part of all this and the elephant in the room with the coaching carousel is the fact that Florida and Scott Strickland could not finish the deal with Kiffin. They couldn't finish the deal, man. How many years is Florida going to allow Scott Strickland to screw this up, right? Billy Napier was a reach. It was a real reach. I think Florida allowed it because they were like, oh, Scott Strickland went out. They got him a Bama protege. He's coming through. How far down the damn tree can you be an Alabama coach? To get the Alabama perks, right? You see the guy, the co-offensive coordinator for Alabama. How many of those do they have, right? I think his last name's Shepard. He's going to coach for I don't even know where he's going. I think he's West Coast somewhere. Oh, Oregon State. He went to Oregon State. What part of that can I just go be the water boy for the offensive staff at Alabama and maybe, I don't know, get the head coaching job at the Citadel next year? Maybe I can get maybe Towson State or Texas State. Can I just be the next offensive coordinator for, I don't know, North Dakota State because I'm the water boy at Alabama? It's beginning to be that way. We have a failed, what was his name? Nick. I forget Nick's last name, but hell, he beat Georgia last year again. But we have a failed OC at Alabama that just so nicely backs up and becomes the quarterback's coach. And I guess he could go get a head coaching job right now if he wanted to. Did they both interview for the job? Who knows? I don't know, man. It's like if you're from the Alabama coaching tree, you're in it for every job. I don't know if that's the best thing for you or their university, but they're just kind of flipping a coin going, what's our best bet? The head coach at Tulsa, who's struck gold with a winning season, or the third string run game coordinator for Alabama? I'll take the run game coordinator for Alabama. Meanwhile, that used to be the case for Saban, but I don't know about DeBoer. I don't know if you're going everybody that comes out of that DeBoer coaching tree, because I don't think Ryan Grubb could become head football coach tomorrow. I think he's gone through some bumps and bruises in the NFL that have shown that. And I'd say even this year, I mean, sometimes I look in the inability to have a run game this year. I think that's not the offensive line. They have the best recruits in the country, right? They're Alabama. But yeah, man, I think the failure of Florida to seal the deal on Lane Kiffin. I mean, everybody thought. I mean, I hesitated to call Lane Kiffin to Florida. I said it probably would happen. Um, but Scott Strickland, once again, man, like couldn't seal the deal. They hired this GM. They went out and got this GM from an NFL team, from what I understand, the Eagles, right? They go out and they get a GM now, and I guess maybe that pissed Kiffin off. I mean, I don't know if you, I don't know, man. I don't know what you did to miss out on from what LSU thinks is a it is a grand slam Yankees versus Red Sox, bottom of the 18th milestone home run that this hire is for LSU, at least LSU thinks. So you missed it. And so guess what? So because Scott Strickland can't land Kiffin, the dominoes fell, man. I fully believe that Summerall went to Florida, and I think Golish was going to Arkansas. And then the dominoes fell, and Summerall took Florida, and Golish took Auburn, and here comes Silverstein from Arkansas. From Memphis that gets Arkansas, right? And meanwhile, like you really don't know what Penn State's doing. This guy at Penn State, man, I think he's just out of his league. I think he's doing this on his own. He's riding solo, and maybe he's got some up his sleeve. I would tell you that a good start is if they're waiting to talk to Brian Hartline. I get that. You'll know a lot come after this weekend. I think you'll learn a lot. There is rumor about DeBoer. You would probably learn a lot more from that, but I don't know, man. It would have to just be the fact that there was a lot more thicker talk than everybody led on to about his contract, and when he took over, and Saban having an office there, and you name it, it happened. But the coaching carousel obviously owned Thanksgiving weekend. I mean, it's crazy, man, and that's kind of where we're at. It's crazy, but it enters us into a big part of the year. Obviously, conference championships are this Saturday all over the country, and then come Sunday morning, it will be bowl selection show, and this will be Tuesday night. Will be the last playoff prediction for this year. Before we will know what those playoffs look like, we'll get a pretty good indicator of where the committee is leaning, besides the outcome of these conference games. Which, in my opinion, it's going to tell a lot. It's going to tell a lot for Alabama. I think it'll tell a lot for where Oregon stands. If how bad of how good of a win and how bad of a loss do they have to take to maybe bounce them out, or I don't know. Can Oregon get bounced out? Who's going to be that 12th seed that's coming in? I've heard Tulane. I've heard James Madison. I've heard so many names. I've even seen Kennesaw in that 12th spot. But it'll be wild to see who that is. And so, but it's gonna be a fun weekend. I do think that when you look at the two teams out this weekend that I think win or lose can survive, maybe three, would probably be Georgia, Indiana, and I would say maybe Oregon. It just depends. It depends if Indiana just whoops Oregon. I don't know, man. Right? But I do think that there's a lot of people screaming from the outside in that don't have a lot to really talk about. So, but hey, let's look at a little preview for the SEC championship game. We're just going to preview it tonight on Overreaction. I think the bulk of the conversation was highlighting the coaching carousel for this weekend, but obviously when you look at what to watch for this weekend. You look at Georgia and Alabama. You look at that game and you see where you feel like Georgia. I just rewatched that game last night, and you feel like that Georgia did a lot of things right on offense. I feel like Georgia was able to establish the run very well. Now we don't know, and I don't even know till to tonight what the outlook is on Drew Bobo. As of right now, I still have not heard like a definitive statement on Drew Bobo will be playing on Saturday. But Georgia was able to run the ball very well. But it also keyed off of, if you remember correctly, Chauncey Bowens was in that game a lot. We don't know how healthy Chauncey is right now. We didn't see much of him versus Georgia Tech, and maybe we didn't on purpose. Maybe we feel like having him healthy to have him in that game was beneficial. And then if we didn't play in the game, having him for wherever we land in the playoffs would be beneficial. But Georgia was able to run the ball. I think Georgia was able later on in the game to get pressure on Ty Simpson, but obviously some of the keys to victory right offhand are I watched Ty Simpson just really sitting back there, very comfortable, almost to the fact of we got to the point where we did not want to get beat deep so badly that we allowed so many things to happen right in front of us, right? And then you can go back to the key fourth down call. I watched that play last night about 5 times. We tried to go quick. You can make a lot of statements about if Cash Jones doesn't stumble, if we make the block right there, like what happens? Does he score? Is it the right call? Do we tie it? I mean, I'll go back and tell you that I thought we should have kicked. A lot of game left. We both teams struggled to really move the ball into positive territory the rest of the game. So it would have come down to possibly how we played it a little bit different if we were tied versus behind by 3. I think if you're tied, there were parts of that game where the run game was doing so well that I think we do run the ball a lot more. So I'm looking for Georgia to do some different things on defense that are going to give Ty Simpson some different looks. I think a really good tape to look at will be the Auburn tape. What Auburn was able to do against Alabama, I think, was very crucial. DJ Durkin. We let Billy Napier come visit us for the Texas game. Maybe we should, DJ Durkin doesn't have a job. Maybe DJ Durkin needs to come visit Georgia this week just to hang out for a little bit. I thought he had a pretty good game plan against Alabama. If Auburn had any offense, they could have probably taken care of Alabama. I think it would have been more of a scoring game, but it's going to be a really good game. Looking really, like another Georgia Alabama, right? It's going to come down to injuries. I know Jam Miller left that game against Auburn early. I don't know the status. I'll have all the injury reports for the normal weekly show. But I think in the great big scheme of things, I think you can look at this game and go, man, it's going to be another one that comes down to who can get out early. And if we all remember, Alabama came into Georgia, and the one thing they did, just like they did when we played them in Alabama, is they got out to a fast start. They scored 14 unanswered points before we ever hit back. I think that the key thing to do is to not let Alabama get out to that start. I think Georgia has to do everything in their power to try to be even killed or leading that game in the first, second quarter to just defy those odds of having to fight back. It is hard to fight back against Alabama. They have great skill players. I think Cade Womack does a great job as far as dialing up pressure. He knows how to do that well. Now, you can see it's very vulnerable when he dials up pressure and what he leaves out there. And so I think we got to be very disciplined on where our eyes are at. I think if you're a gunner, I think you got to. I mean, I think Kirby already did it. He kind of charged Gunner with a big task of, hey, we need you to bow up a little bit more. We need you to be a little bit more of a field general, not make dumb plays. Get back to the Gunner of the beginning of the year where, it's been great to see you have these exploding games where you explode for high passing yards and rushing yards, but back to the part of the year where they were winning these tough games and they're still in these games because we're not turning the ball over. And believe me, there was plenty of opportunities that not only Georgia Tech had with the interception, but also other parts where we've thrown interceptions the last 2 or 3 weeks that could have been game changers. It happened against Texas. It also happened against Georgia Tech last week. But I would tell you and venture out to say that a lot of times, if you don't take those chances, then how do you sit there and look at Gunner and go, "Hey, I need you to stretch the field a little bit. I need you to. We need explosives, right? We're getting explosives in the run game. I think we're still a little bit light on getting explosives in the passing game. But I will tell you, before I get out of here tonight, it was nice to see that, man, if we can just have that catch happen this week, that Taylor missed that game, where I think that touchdown would have blown the game open. And then the freshman, who I know looks back and probably he dreams about that catch going right through his hands against Alabama as a freshman and before he got hurt. That threw him off for this year. But, man, if we have that catch, the game changed. I think it was a one-play game the rest of the night after, you go in 17-7 in Georgia. Georgia does a good job holding one score the rest of the game. So it's going to be a fun week. Make sure, if you haven't already done so, go and like and follow us on Dogs Down South. We're on YouTube, Dogs Down South, Apple Podcasts, Dogs Down South, Spotify. And if you have questions, comments, anything you want read, it's dogsdownsouth@gmail.com. Well, that's it for tonight for overreaction. The only overreaction is what are these teams going to get with the coaching hires that they have received? Obviously, Alex Golesh at Auburn. You have Lane Kiffin at LSU. You have Silverstein at Arkansas. You have Sumrall at Florida. And to be continued about the hires that are coming our way in the rest of the SEC world. And I guess you can say Pete Golding at Ole Miss, to be determined. I don't know how many games he's got to win or not win. But anyways, for myself and all the dog fans out there, I hope you have a great rest of the first half of your week. Make sure and tune in and join us for the regular weekly show this week. And let's go win an SEC championship. And as always,